Hi guys, this is a Sister Wives update for November 2023 because Kody, Melty, Meri, and Maddie have been on podcasts spilling tea, running their mouth all over this month. So let's get into it. Madison, Janelle, and Kody's oldest daughter, and Kody's one-time favorite child, I think, went on a random podcast called Somewhat Basic that I think her friend hosts. So I think this must have been a favor because Maddie's just not one to just go speaking on platforms or anything like that. People tend to spill by accident on podcasts, so I was excited to see what she had to say. And I think we know now where Maddie stands. Here are a few of the best points. Madison says she now wants to stay in North Carolina. She basically said that since the last year and a half, there's really nothing to go back to with her family. Sad but true. They always wanted to move back to Montana or Wyoming or something closer to the family for a long time. They were just waiting for Caleb to get his elevator mechanic license. But now she has no intentions to do that. I mean, it's very toxic over there anyway. She says if she did move back, it would probably be Utah, but she says that she's not a city person and it has a more city-ish vibe than where she is now. Maddie said that Janelle wanted to live in Vegas forever, but Kody has a gypsy soul and wanted to move because he can't stay in one place. Gypsy soul is a kind way of saying it. Maddie liked the cul-de-sac the best of all the places they lived when she was growing up. She felt really awkward about bringing friends over to the Utah Lehigh house. If only Janelle stayed in Vegas, she would have a house, an asset. Don't even get me started on what a mistake leaving Vegas was. The saddest part about the interview was that she said, that her kids don't recognize Kody anymore and they don't have much of a relationship. And her stance is very much that she's not going to force a relationship in their lives because being in their lives should be a privilege. And she did say that Janelle and Christine make a lot of effort and some of her siblings do too. The first 8 kids in the family are especially close. And just because you're blood, it doesn't give you access to my kids, she said. Do you guys agree with Maddie's opinion? Let me know in the comments. Now, let's move on to Kody's cringy AF podcast appearance on something called Mormonism Live. The overall vibe is that Kody kind of railed on Mormonism a lot and his previous religion's leaders, so no idea why he chose to be on this podcast specifically. Here were the best points in my opinion. Kody said that he has a love-hate relationship with his producer for Sister Wives. He antagonizes him like a brother, and that the biggest way the show contributed to issues and drama in the family is that when they have to talk about things that are hard, it's in their face over and over. Something that was forgotten maybe suddenly it's back in a flashback and they have to face it and relive it over and over. He did admit that there's a lot of blame to be laid on his own feet and that he was yelled at by his own sister at Christmas for that patriarchy comment he made in one episode. Remember the one about, I'm gonna bring back patriarchy? And he apparently had to pace and walk away because he couldn't believe that she was judging him in his darkest moment. Well, I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall at that Christmas, and go Kody's sister. I like her already. And of course he brings up sacred loneliness of all things. I thought that topic died earlier in the season, but he says it's a real thing, and at one point it may get too hard. I mean, if Meri was doing the sacred loneliness, count me the heck out. I mean, no one's here waiting lonely for 7 years or whatever. He said that the book was about women in the 1800s, so clearly times have changed. I mean, we're not riding horses anymore and we're not doing sacred loneliness. He also talked about the one house idea and how Christine rejecting it made him realize that in some way the family was in the way of his goals for plural marriage, and he got dark and cynical. So I guess this was more of a tipping point than we had initially thought as fans. Maybe this was the turning point. He also insinuated that he didn't court Meri, Christine, and Janelle long enough. He said, I married 3 women that I courted less than 4 months. My 4th wife we courted for 10 months, as if this again gives Robin some type of like step up or something. He said, nobody in our church told us we were getting into. It was a cult thought process. People who were struggling in their marriage in polygamy were still promoting polygamy. So even he says his dad's family wasn't happy, but his dad died with 3 wives still. There was no breakdown in their relationship, but were they happy? I don't think so, according to Kody. He said he had a recent discussion with Robin. Out of nowhere, he just said this. And he admitted that if he hadn't gone through the breakups, then it would be starting now. It was sort of inevitable. He sees it as inevitable. So if he sees it as inevitable, why is he putting so much blame on Christine then? Right? And Kody kept making kind of misogynistic remarks about how men are always looking for another woman and women are always looking for a better man. Even the strongest monogamist, he says, looks over there and says, hubba hubba. I mean, I clearly rolled my eyes at this. He said, it's nature endorsed. Ugh, I mean, what more is there to say to that? That's cringy. Now, let's go to Meri's Fridays with Friends from recent times. Meri is making it really clear that she's no longer a sister wife. She's ready to date. And she even talked about what she's looking for in a man. Specifically, someone who's tall and who has kind eyes, or actually, that's kind. And I really hope Meri finds what she's looking for. There is a picture of Meri circling around with a man sitting across the table from her. Fans love to think this is a date, just like they thought that her friend Blair was like her new boyfriend, but who knows? It could be this wild speculation. It could be a business partner, a family member. There's a lot of people in Meri's family, don't forget. But yes, people are running with this because we all want Meri to date and stop being in her sacred loneliness, I guess. Meri also offered some insight about the seasons and how they're filmed, which I thought was interesting. Apparently, one season will span around 1 year. And so season 18 started filming in fall 2021, and I think will span until late 2022. So it all makes sense. And she also did an interview with People magazine about the end of her marriage in 2022, because it's all coming to a head at later this season. She said, 100% gave it my all. I did everything in my power that I could do. And if I would have walked away any sooner, there would have always been a question in my mind of, did I do everything that I can do? But I'm very confident knowing that I did everything that I could do, and I'm very at peace with the timing of it and how it all played out. She also mentioned she never saw it coming, except, I mean, we all saw it coming. No one can say, though, that Meri didn't try. That's for sure. She's not someone who just gave up on a relationship like that. But the denial was real. And finally, Mykelti. I watched her Patreon recap of the latest episode, and while she's getting a lot of heat online from fans about telling Robin before her mom about her twin pregnancy, and overall, I think just about her support for Robin and Kody. I even noticed in my comments that people are definitely turning on Mykelti and Tony for some reason, which, I mean, they're just more public, so maybe that's where it's coming from. And she revealed that it's been getting to her. And like, I think last Sunday, she said she was like overall in a bad mood and a funk. And she's not handling the negativity well, because she actually reads the comments because she needs to block the people. So she has to see it, and she cries about it. People are being mean to Mykelti. She, she's getting moody, and she says that it affects Tony and her whole family. So I hope she can find a way to not look at the comments. Maybe someone else should. I'm thinking she needs to get away from the comments because that can really get to a person. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening my whole way through. I'll have another update soon, but this was my first update for Sister Wives November 2023. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.